editor astronomer here. I'm really sorry if there's a change in audio quality as the video goes on. I'm very bad at recording and I don't have a microphone. I'm just using my iPad, okay? My new iPad. So I'm really sorry. Thank you for the understanding. Have fun.
Hi, I know this isn't my usual content, like I usually post animation memes, but I wanted to make a video as a warning about how I lost my comic twice. Twice in 1 year, and I had a deadline for it. And guess what? I am never reaching that deadline because that comic is gone forever, and I don't want this to happen to anyone else because it brought me so much agony and stress. I don't want that to happen to anyone else. So hopefully someone will watch this video who's making their first comic or something and be like, "Hey," and I'll be like, "Hey, don't do this, please, for the love of God, don't, or it will end in a lot of sorrow." So I really hope that this is content you might like. I've never done an unscripted video before, never less scripted. Like I've tried scripting, okay? There's been like 3 or 2 other tries I've had to make videos like this and with a script, and it's just so bad. Mostly because the audio quality was so bad. So I hope the audio quality isn't as bad as it would be in those videos.
Okay, so I wanted to clarify that I didn't exactly fully lose my comic twice, but the first time I lost it, I almost lost it, but I got it back thankfully. But the second time, not so much, evidently, because I had to create a comic in 1 week. Like, I created it in like 1 or 2 weeks to replace it as I had a deadline for the end of June. So like I lost it just at the beginning of June, and I sat around for like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, hoping that would come back, and it didn't. So I had to lock the hell in and actually fix it. So what happened the first time around is that I was new to making comics. Okay, I just had Ibis Paint X and a dream. I had revamped this comic twice. Like, I'd been working on it since, I think, either late 2024 or early 2025. And because I kept discarding ideas and then making a new one and discarding it, it took me until December 2025 to actually lock in with an idea and decide, okay, I'm gonna create this as my comic and I'm gonna go through with it. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, what was this comic even about? Well, this comic was about Dracula. So, like, I used to make, for like 3 years straight, I used to make only Day Shift at Freddy's content, mostly. And only, mostly about Dr. Henry Miller. I was absolutely obsessed with him, but, coming as years went by, I'd always talk about him. I began to grow bored of him because the creator no longer pays attention to the game, okay? The game that he comes from, Day Shift at Freddy's. So I wasn't getting any new content about him, and I had overanalyzed about every single time he had appeared in the games, and all the lore that we even had on him, even the vague stuff. So, I was growing bored. And in May 2024, I finally made a shift to Dracula. Specifically like Dracula Yowie, like Dracula, the 1897 book by Bram Stoker. It's kind of crazy. But, anyways, the comic was meant to be about Jonathan Harker and Count Dracula, and Jonathan exploring his internalized homophobia and his relationship with both Dracula and Mina. Kind of, mostly Dracula. But Mina's in there too, because I love Mina, and Jonathan loves Mina as well. So Mina deserves to be there, and she deserves everything. And this comic was only about 20 pages long. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it takes someone like a professional comic maker, like Brie Polson, at least at least a year to make a 140 pages. Okay? 20 pages is a lot. You have to understand that you have to create thumbnail images, then you have to go through all the dialogue, then you have to draw every single page, then you have to color every single page. You have to figure out the perspective of all the pages with complicated backgrounds for stuff that you need. Like, my comic had these palace backgrounds, okay? That was the hardest time of my life. Even my comics art teacher, who has been making comics for years, they were like, oh my god, why are you making yourself suffer like this? Like, I don't even know how to do this. I was putting myself through hell for this comic, okay? So when I initially made the comic, I didn't tell anyone, but I was making it on one canvas. One canvas. A comic? A entire 20-page comic on one canvas? I don't know how I didn't thought it would not go bad. And like, you're like, oh, maybe you had premium. I didn't even have premium. And I was still making it on one canvas. So the ibis Paint Premium kind of like gives you like, no ads, you can have whatever brushes you want. And also another perk is that you have unlimited storage. So at that point, my file got corrupted. I didn't finish most of the pages, but one of them were finished. And then there were like 4 or 5 others that I was working on actively. The file got corrupted and I freaked out. I was like, oh god, no, my comic, it's gone. I've been working on this for months. But lucky me, I was able to get it back through a 36-minute long rewatch of everything to uncorrupt it, and I immediately separated all the pages. It was very tedious to have to go back through, like, every layer and everything, but, that's the life, I guess. That's life. Rule number 1 about making a comic. If you're a new person to making comics, never, ever, and I mean never ever, make a comic on one canvas. I don't care how small it is, I don't care if it's only like 2 pages, maybe 3, it might corrupt and you might lose it. Like, I was very lucky that I was able to go through the rewatch to save everything. I was extremely lucky that it worked, because there's a chance it wouldn't have. So, like, if this happens to you, there's a chance that you just might have just lost your comic. And I didn't even have iCloud synchronization on. Synchronization on. Because I hadn't backed up my iPad ever. There was not a single backup in it. And you know how long I've had the iPad for? Since 2019. Not a single backup. So you can guess that there was my iPad could not back up. So I thought iCloud synchronization was a really bad idea, because it would just take up what little iCloud storage I had. But, I came to heavily regret that. I mean, so heavily that I was in the trenches, okay? So, like I can't remember if I said this, but my comic was due by the end of June this year, because there was like, I had to print it for a convention. The whole reason I was making a comic was because I wanted to be able to go to a comic convention in a city that I'm somewhat nearby, and travel there and attend a comic convention. So I had to finish this comic in time to be able to print it. So it wasn't just for me, it was also for a lot of other people. I'm like, oh hell yeah, I can do it in that time. So June starts rolling. There's like June is about to come, and I have done most of my pages at this point. I've not actually most. I'd gotten 45% done, and I know that because I made a little table to check off each thing I finished. And because the deadline was fast approaching, I was working on this comic like hell. I was locked in. I was like, we are not bowling, we are going. So the night it happened, I had just finished writing all the dialogue, because I was finding some struggle in the expressions for like Jonathan and Dracula. I couldn't figure out their positions and expressions because I wasn't knowing fully what they were saying. So I wrote all the dialogue officially, because I had never written the dialogue properly, only like little tits and bits and pieces about what I wanted to be there. And I closed Ibis Paint X, and I went to play Guts and Gun Black Powder, and I was having fun. Then suddenly, my iPad shut off, and it showed up with the Apple logo, like on a black screen, the white Apple logo, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's updating even though I know that I have updates off and like automatic updates off, and I never asked for it. It never asked me to update. I was like, okay, I'll just leave it overnight and it will be fine. It was not fine. So I woke up in the morning. I'm like, okay, so my iPad's probably updated. I'm gonna be really happy today. And I go, like, check my bedside. It's on the floor, and it still has the exact same screen, except now it's displaying that it wants to update, but through a computer. And I was like, oh god, okay, this should be easy. So I think I tried in the morning to fix it, but it didn't work, so I still had school, okay, this is still during school time. So I went to school, and I try again, doesn't work still. I go to school again, still doesn't work, and then by the weekend rolls by, it's still in the exact same way. It still has that screen telling me that it needs to update through a computer. So, on the weekend, I spent 8 hours straight trying to update it. I went to the Apple store in the city. I went all the way to the city to go to the Apple store to book an appointment to try and fix it. They tried to fix it through their computer, didn't work. I tried to fix it through my computer at home, doesn't work. Tried to fix it through my mum's computer, doesn't work. I went to 3 different computers. I tried for 8 hours straight trying to fix this thing, and it would not work. Like, I was so stressed. I could not believe it. My entire comic was on there, and I had not a single iCloud backup. And even if I did, I had not saved the comic to iCloud. So, I was screwed. I was absolutely screwed. It's like, oh, it's only 45% of the comic. Like, I realized that later. Like, I could still redraw this and do it better, but I wanted that comic for this year. I wanted it for this year, not for the next year. I didn't want to make a new comic. Like, my new comic, it was not really exactly a comic, okay? I mean, it had comic pages, but it was mostly poetry. And it was a backup thing. It was like, oh, if I finish this thing in time, then I may as well make another short comic about my poetry. I didn't want to make it really because I'm a bit shy about my poetry, I'll be for real. It's like, maybe it's mid, maybe I think I'm not as good as I actually am, and I'm just like some mid guy trying to be a poetry lover and expert when there's people who are way better than me who are gonna read it and they're gonna be like, oh wow, this is such a chud poem. But whatever. I had to make it, and I had like 1 or 2 weeks left before the deadline, and oh my god. I was I was so sad because my comic, like, I managed to recover only I think 13 or 14 images of what I had, and like screenshots. Maybe they aren't of the full page, but of little sneak peeks. I only managed to recover that much, and that's from like stuff I sent on Discord. And that's not a lot, okay? Like, I mean, I think I got like maybe actually 2 whole pages from it, which is really good, but I don't have either of the full pages of the most difficult perspectives. So that means I have to restart this all over again. All this pain again. I don't. No! It's like, I don't even understand why it wasn't updating. Like, it would connect to the computer just fine, and then it would turn around after about maybe 30 minutes in, like it's uploading all the data it needs, and then it would disconnect itself. Every single time it would disconnect itself. So, God bless my dad, but he decided that he would pay for a data specialist to recover it. Okay? He went to one place and they had this like big overview of the city. Like, I had like a glass, like they had a big building, okay? But they're charging like 1,500 for high priority recovery, and that's a lot of money, okay? We don't want that. And especially if I'm only wanting to recover my comic, because to be fair, I don't keep a lot of important stuff on my phone, like maybe passwords and stuff, but I don't really care about my photos that much, especially on my iPad, since I don't collect photos there. I don't have any memories on it. Like, I could have lost my entire iPad except Ibis Paint X, and I would have been perfectly happy, because Ibis Paint X doesn't just have my comics. It has my works in progresses, it has my animations that I still have to finish. It had all this stuff and speed paints that I could have used for videos and that I wanted to make in the future. All gone. All gone. So, that's very unfortunate. So my dad finds a guy, he's like charging maybe like, I think 300 or something, and he says that he promises that he will recover all of the data for just like, 300. And my dad's like, you know what, okay, sure, we can give him a try. And this is based on what he's told me, okay? He says he came to this overgrown house area, and there's a guy who comes out in like flip-flops, and I kind of like imagine him as that one guy from Stranger Things, but a bit overweight. And my dad says he looked like an absolute nerd. Like, I can't remember the word he used. Maybe he used, I can't remember. I can't remember the word he used, but he used some word to say that he looked like a tech nerd. And he promises, hey, I'll get this back as soon as I can. Thank you for trusting me, whatever. And so while that's happening, I'm working on my poetry comic, and I'm anxiously waiting for any reply back. And my dad, like, he's only getting really bad responses, okay? They're like saying, oh, I'm trying all these things, but it doesn't seem to be working with me. And they keep trying for like a week or something, and he gets absolutely nothing. That was devastating news to hear. Like, I had been excited all week, waiting, hoping that I'd get it back. And like, I was praying that it would get back. Actually praying. And it didn't. It didn't get back. Maybe it just wasn't meant to be, I guess. So, rule number 2, make sure you have iCloud. I know that iCloud sucks. Like, why does it have to be subscription? But get iCloud Premium. Get iCloud Premium, please. And then make sure all your drawings are saved to iCloud. Because you don't know what would happen. Like, it could be a faulty... Like, Apple loves to give updates that your device can't handle and that you can't choose to not have. They love to do that. So that's what they did to me. And look where I am now. I don't have my Yowie comic. Oh my god. But, so I had been asking my parents for premium, and it's like, oh, why don't you pay for yourself? I'm unemployed, guys. I've never had a job. I want one so bad, but no one wants to hire me because the job opportunities aren't good here. I'm going to be real. I'm picky, and I don't want to go to an environment where I'm overstimulated, so I've already been trying mostly bookstores and filing, but none of them want me because they don't need that many people for that. So it's going to be very rare for a position to open. But whatever, I guess. So I don't have any digital money. So that's why I couldn't buy it myself and go on subscription myself. And my dad says that he regrets not getting me it sooner because then this wouldn't have happened. But as a perk, I got a new iPad out of all of this. Like, yay, I got a new iPad. It kind of sucks for gaming a lot. Like, I can't play bullshit without it glitching out a bit. But it works perfectly fine for drawing and watching videos. So I guess that's all that matters, because that was what was the most important, that I managed to finish my comic. Okay guys, I'm sorry, I lied again. I was not working on my comic during this whole thing. I only managed to work on my comic once I got my new iPad, because I had nothing to work it on. I don't know about the grammatics of that. Whatever. So in the end, thankfully, I did get my poetry comic in, but I'll probably have to wait till next year to print the comic that I really want, which is really unfortunate. And okay, the convention I'm going to is Perth Comics Art Festival, and if you want, I might make a bit of a blog video, and document my experience, because it's going to be the first convention I've ever gone to, okay? I'm stalling at E14. I hope I might see some of you there. I don't know. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you took some advice from it and my warnings. Please don't do the same shit as I did and screw yourself over. Please. Thank you. Love you all. Bye bye.